You know, right now, there's a whole series of battles being fought over every single part of your digital life. And here's the bottom line. From the apps that are literally engineered to keep you scrolling, to the privacy of your own face, to the actual chips inside your computer, all of it is contested territory. So today, we're going to break down 4 of these critical fights: the one for your attention, the one for your privacy, the battle for your PC's future, and this whole new creator-led economy. And wow, the stakes could not be higher. This powerful line comes straight from the opening arguments of a huge lawsuit, and it just perfectly captures the heart of our very first conflict. So let's dive right into that fight for your focus. The battleground, a courtroom in California. And the weapons? They're the algorithms and the app designs we use every single day. Now, the focus of this accusation is really, really key. This isn't about the content you see on the platforms. Thanks to Section 230 in the US, companies are pretty much shielded from being sued over what users post. No, this case is different. It argues that the very structure of the apps is the real problem. Okay, this slide really shows you the clash in strategies here. On one side, the plaintiffs are zeroed in on design features like infinite scroll, calling them addictive by their very nature. But the defense? They're trying to change the subject completely. Meta's lawyer actually pointed to one plaintiff's personal history, basically saying she was already predisposed to problems. And YouTube's lawyer? They tried to rebrand the entire platform, arguing it's just for entertainment, like Netflix, and not a social network at all. I mean, you heard that right. That is a direct quote from YouTube's lawyer, said in a real courtroom, defending a feature that's literally called infinite scroll. Their argument, made with a completely straight face, is that because it technically has to end eventually, it's not truly infinite. It's just a wild example of the lengths these companies are willing to go to defend their designs. And we are starting to see companies respond to all this pressure, even if it's, well, a little reluctantly. Meta's Threads rolled out this Dear Algo feature, which lets you tell the algorithm, hey, I want to see more or less of this topic. But here's the catch. The algorithm only listens to you for 3 days before it tries to suck you right back into what the source material calls the slop factory. Of course, the whole reason these platforms want to capture your attention is to get your data. And that fight is tangled up with an even bigger one, the fight for your most personal information, which, believe it or not, sometimes includes your own face. Just look at that number, 10,000%. That is a massive, immediate, and seriously negative reaction from the public to a company's new policy. So what caused this? Well, this huge backlash happened right after Discord announced a new way to verify a user's age. And even though the company tried to clarify that it would only affect a tiny number of users, just the idea of having to maybe provide a face scan or an ID was enough to send people running for the exits. It's a perfect sign of just how sensitive we've all become about our biometric data. Okay, so this slide gets at a really weird paradox at the heart of a lot of these modern privacy tools. Let's walk through it. Google is giving you more control to manage your digital footprint, which is awesome, right? You can ask them to remove search results that show your most sensitive personal info. But, and this is the crazy part, to make that request, you have to give Google that sensitive info first. It's a total catch-22. And the privacy fight? Well, it can get even darker when we start looking at a type of software called Stalkerware. This isn't about algorithms or collecting data for ads. No, this is software that is explicitly sold for one purpose: to secretly spy on another person, usually a partner. The irony here is just astounding. As you can see from this chart, the very companies that sell these super invasive tools are actually terrible at their own security. A recent hack exposed the payment records of more than 500,000 customers from just one of these companies. And this isn't a one-off thing. It's the 27th time a Stalkerware company has been breached since 2017, exposing the very people who use these tools to spy on others. All right, so far we've been talking about battles happening in our apps and over our data. But now the fight is going even deeper, right to the foundation of your computer, its operating system. There is a fundamental change happening with Windows, and it's going to affect millions of us. So let me just say that again. If you have a Windows 11 PC right now, the next big update is not for you. Microsoft is basically splitting its own operating system in two, creating a huge divide in its own user base. So why the split?
Well, it all comes down to the chip inside the computer. New PCs are starting to come out with these ARM-based processors. And if that sounds familiar, it's because it's the same super power-efficient tech that runs your smartphone, the thing that gives it that all-day battery life. The goal is to bring that same efficiency to laptops, but it means Windows has to be basically rebuilt from the ground up to work on them.
This slide lays out the new reality for Windows users perfectly. Your current PC, it's going to keep getting updates, but it's on a separate track. The new ARM-based PCs, on the other hand, will get that big 26H1 update, which Microsoft themselves says is built on a different Windows core. We're really looking at two parallel but very distinct futures for Windows. Now, before you panic and think your current computer is about to become a paperweight, hold on. This doesn't mean your PC is being abandoned. Microsoft is still pushing out essential security updates to everybody. For instance, a new secure boot certificate is coming to all PCs to make sure things like online Fortnite tournaments can run without any problems. So your PC is still safe. It's just on a different development path now. So all this fragmentation in the digital world, splitting operating systems, fighting over our data, it creates a whole new landscape. And it's in this new landscape that a new kind of power structure is starting to pop up, one where the biggest names on YouTube are becoming some of the biggest names in business.
Okay, this is a massive deal. We are not talking about selling merch or candy bar here. One of the world's biggest content creators, MrBeast, is buying a financial services company, a whole fintech app that's designed for teens and young adults.
And when you look inside the deal, you can really see the strategy. Step offers actual financial tools to a young audience. For MrBeast, this is a direct way to monetize his gigantic Gen Z and Gen Alpha following in a much, much bigger way than just selling videos and chocolate.
This is the official reason given by MrBeast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson. He's framing this whole thing as a way to give his audience the financial smarts and tools that he wishes he had when he was starting out.
And you gotta see, this isn't just some random business move. It connects directly into his content strategy because he has a finance-themed channel on the way. He's not just buying an app, he is building a complete ecosystem where he provides the entertainment, the education, and the financial products, all in one place.
And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. We've seen creators go from making content to selling consumer products, and now they're moving into financial services. As these huge personalities build their own media and commerce empires, totally bypassing the traditional companies, you really have to wonder, what industry is next on their list?